Today we're going to analyze a statement that has been circulating among observers of Iraq's financial system and among followers of the Iraqi dinar. The statement suggests that a potential change in the Iraqi dinar's value, often referred to in discussions as an RV or revaluation, will not occur until broader regional issues involving Iran are resolved. While such claims often originate from informal sources and should always be treated with caution, they raise an important topic worth examining from a serious economic and geopolitical perspective. To understand the context behind this claim, it's essential to look at the broader relationship between Iraq, its monetary policy, and the regional geopolitical environment in which the country operates. Iraq's financial system does not function in isolation. The country's economy, banking reforms, and currency management are influenced by a wide range of factors including regional stability, international trade, global energy markets, and relationships with neighboring countries. When people refer to a possible revaluation of the Iraqi dinar, they are generally discussing the idea that Iraq could at some point adjust the official exchange rate of its currency to reflect changes in its economic fundamentals. In reality, currency adjustments are complex policy decisions made by central banks based on a wide set of economic indicators. These indicators include inflation levels, foreign reserves, fiscal stability, oil revenues, balance of payments data, and the overall health of the banking sector. The Central Bank of Iraq plays the primary role in maintaining monetary stability within the country. Its official mandate focuses on controlling inflation, stabilizing the currency, maintaining adequate foreign reserves, and supporting the broader financial system. Over the past several years, Iraq has been engaged in a series of economic and banking reforms aimed at modernizing its financial infrastructure and strengthening the transparency of its institutions. These reforms include improvements in digital payment systems, tighter anti-money laundering controls, enhanced compliance with international financial standards, and modernization of banking regulations. All of these steps are important because they help Iraq integrate more effectively into the global financial system. When analysts discuss the possibility of changes to Iraq's exchange rate policy, they typically emphasize that such a decision would only occur once the country has achieved sufficient economic stability and financial system credibility. This is where geopolitical factors can play a role. Iraq sits at the center of a complex regional environment. The country shares long borders with several neighboring states, including Iran, and these relationships inevitably influence Iraq's economic landscape. Trade flows, energy cooperation, electricity imports, and cross-border financial activities all tie Iraq's economy to developments in the region. Iran in particular has long been one of Iraq's significant economic partners. Iraq imports electricity and natural gas from Iran to support its power grid, and there is considerable cross-border trade between the two countries. However, these economic ties also exist alongside broader geopolitical tensions involving international sanctions, regional security concerns, and diplomatic negotiations. Because of these dynamics, any major financial policy shift by Iraq, especially one involving its national currency, must consider how regional relationships and international regulations might be affected. Global financial institutions, including the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, generally encourage currency stability and careful policy transitions rather than sudden changes. In discussions about a possible currency revaluation, it is also important to distinguish between speculation and official policy. Currency values are rarely changed overnight without extensive preparation, economic reforms, and international coordination. Even when exchange rates are adjusted, the changes are typically incremental and designed to maintain stability rather than create volatility. The statement suggesting that an RV will not occur until issues involving Iran are settled appears to reflect the idea that geopolitical stability plays a role in economic confidence. From an analytical standpoint, this concept does have some logical basis. Investors, governments, and financial institutions all prefer stable environments when making major economic decisions. Regional tensions can influence everything from foreign investment flows to energy infrastructure projects. For Iraq, whose economy relies heavily on oil exports, stability in regional shipping routes and energy markets is extremely important. Disruptions or uncertainties in these areas could impact government revenues, fiscal planning, and monetary policy decisions. Another key element to consider is the role of international banking integration. Iraq has been working to strengthen relationships with global financial institutions and correspondent banks. This process requires high levels of transparency and compliance with international standards designed to prevent illicit financial activity. If Iraq were to implement a significant currency policy change, it would likely need the support and confidence of international financial partners. This means ensuring that the country's banking system is capable of handling increased capital flows, international transactions, and currency exchanges without creating instability. In recent years, Iraqi officials have repeatedly emphasized that their priority is maintaining exchange rate stability while implementing economic reforms. The Central Bank of Iraq has taken several steps to manage currency fluctuations, including adjustments to the official exchange rate in previous years in order to address fiscal pressures and stabilize government finances. These policy actions demonstrate that exchange rate decisions are typically tied to practical economic considerations rather than speculation. Governments and central banks must weigh the impact of any currency change on inflation, purchasing power, government budgets, and the competitiveness of exports. For short-term implications, the main takeaway for followers of the Iraqi dinar is that currency policy changes rarely occur quickly or unexpectedly. Economic reforms tend to move gradually, and major monetary decisions are usually announced through official channels rather than through unofficial commentary. In the near term, Iraq's economic outlook is influenced by several important factors. Oil revenue remains the backbone of government income, and fluctuations in global energy prices can affect fiscal planning. Iraq is also investing in infrastructure, energy development, and digital banking modernization, all of which are designed to strengthen the long-term foundation of the economy. Additionally, Iraq continues to work with international financial institutions on programs aimed at improving fiscal management, increasing private sector participation, and reducing dependence on oil revenues. These initiatives are intended to create a more diversified and resilient economic structure. From a long-term perspective, the value of any national currency ultimately reflects the strength of the underlying economy. Factors such as productivity growth, diversified exports, strong financial institutions, and stable governance all contribute to currency stability over time. For Iraq, the long-term economic strategy includes developing industries beyond oil, improving electricity generation capacity, modernizing ports and transportation networks, and encouraging foreign investment. If these initiatives succeed, they could gradually strengthen economic fundamentals and increase international confidence in Iraq's financial system. Another important element is demographic growth. Iraq has a relatively young population, and expanding employment opportunities will be critical for maintaining social and economic stability. Economic reforms aimed at supporting entrepreneurship, small businesses, and technological innovation could play a key role in shaping Iraq's economic future. When discussing the concept, sometimes described as a wealth transfer, it is important to approach the topic carefully. In financial analysis, wealth transfer generally refers to shifts in global capital flows, investment opportunities, or changes in economic power between regions. However, such shifts occur gradually and are influenced by a wide range of economic trends rather than a single currency event. Global economic transformations typically take years or even decades to unfold. They involve structural changes in trade patterns, technological development, and geopolitical alignments. For Iraq, any improvement in economic standing would likely come from sustained reform, stronger institutions, and successful integration into international markets. This is why analysts often emphasize patience and realism when evaluating discussions about the Iraqi dinar. Economic progress is measurable through indicators such as GDP growth, infrastructure investment, improvements in governance, and successful implementation of financial regulations. There are also encouraging signs that Iraq is continuing to make progress in certain areas. Efforts to digitize government payments, expand banking access, and modernize the financial system are gradually reducing reliance on cash transactions. These changes can improve transparency and make it easier for businesses to operate within the formal economy. At the same time, challenges remain. Political dynamics, infrastructure gaps, energy supply issues, and regional tensions all continue to shape Iraq's economic environment. Addressing these challenges requires coordinated policy efforts, long-term planning, and cooperation between government institutions. For observers of the Iraqi dinar, the most responsible approach is to focus on verified information from official sources such as government announcements, central bank statements, and credible economic reports. While speculation can be interesting to discuss, real financial decisions should always be based on reliable data and careful analysis. It's also important to remember that currency markets are influenced by a wide range of global factors, including interest rates, trade balances, inflation trends, and international capital flows. Even strong economies experience fluctuations in their currency values as these variables change. In summary, the claim that a potential currency revaluation would depend on the resolution of regional issues highlights the broader reality that economic policy does not exist in isolation. Iraq's financial future is connected to both domestic reforms and regional stability. Progress in these areas could strengthen economic confidence over time, but any specific currency decisions will ultimately depend on official policy choices and economic fundamentals. For now, the most meaningful developments to watch include continued banking reforms, improvements in infrastructure, growth in non-oil sectors, and stronger integration with international financial systems. These are the kinds of structural changes that tend to support long-term economic stability. As always, it is important to approach financial discussions with a balanced and informed perspective. Economic development is a gradual process, and responsible analysis requires separating verified facts from speculation. If you want to stay informed with responsible, factual, and balanced updates about Iraq's economy and the Iraqi dinar, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And as a final reminder, the information shared in this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It should not be considered financial or investment advice. Always consult with a qualified financial professional before making any financial decisions.